Let me begin by saying this. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. That idea, simple on the surface, profoundly altered the trajectory of my life. I used to sprint after success like it was some mythical creature hiding in a dense forest, always just beyond reach, always slipping through my fingers. I'd chase the next opportunity, the next paycheck, the next applause, thinking that if I just worked harder or hustled more, I could force success to appear. But over time, I realized something essential. Success isn't hiding. It's not playing games with you. It's standing quietly in plain sight, watching and waiting for you to grow into the person who is ready to hold it, to carry it with dignity, responsibility, and grace. You don't need to beg for it. You need to become the kind of person it naturally gravitates toward. Success responds to habits, not hope. It answers to consistency, not chaos. People often look up and wish for a better life. They hope for a breakthrough, a windfall, or some magical turn of events that'll flip the switch and change everything overnight. But success doesn't work that way. It's not a lottery. It's a mirror. It reflects who you are becoming through your habits, your thoughts, and your discipline. It doesn't care how badly you want it, it cares how relentlessly you work toward it. If you'll let me, I want to walk with you through 6 core habits that can begin to attract success into your life. Not someday, but starting now. These aren't mystical principles. They're not reserved for the gifted or the lucky. They are practical, actionable, and entirely within your control. Like bees to honey, success is drawn to certain behaviors. Master these and success will find you. Habit number 1, show up early. Stay a little later. I learned this in the formative years of my career, and it became one of the simplest yet most powerful edges I ever cultivated. Most people do the minimum. They arrive just on time or a few minutes late. They count the minutes until the day ends. But if you want to separate yourself from the crowd, begin with this small but mighty shift. Arrive earlier than expected and linger just a little longer. Not to impress others, but to invest in yourself. When everyone else is clocking in, you're locking in. You're signaling to your environment and to your subconscious that you are serious, you are committed. That extra hour in the morning is quiet, focused, free of distractions. Or that extra 30 minutes in the evening, that's when the real breakthroughs happen. You don't have to double your hours to double your results. You just have to tilt the scale slightly. That effort builds momentum, and momentum builds success. I remember vividly a lesson from my mentor, Mr. Schoaf. He looked me in the eye and said, "Jim, the extra mile is a lonely road, but that's where all the gold is." That single line tattooed itself onto my soul. He wasn't just talking about work hours, he was talking about mindset. You don't need to work twice as hard as everyone else. You just need to do about 15% more than the average person. Because average is where the masses settle. Or it's crowded, noisy, and competitive. But just a little extra effort, that pushes you into the rare air. The realm where attention, respect, and rewards live. The truth is, most people don't want to do more. They don't want to read another page, take another call, or stay another 10 minutes. That's why the bar is so low. And that's your advantage. That extra bit, that little edge, is where success plants its flag and waits for you to arrive. Habit number 2, read every day. Now, I know you've heard this one before, but hearing it isn't the same as living it. Let me repeat it, because repetition is the mother of skill. Readers are leaders, and leaders read. I'm not talking about passive scrolling through social media or skimming headlines for gossip. I mean intentional, focused reading of material that stretches your mind and sharpens your spirit. When I began my journey of self-education, I committed to reading at least 30 minutes a day. I didn't start with a library full of books. I started with one book in a quiet corner, biographies of the greats, books on philosophy, economics, psychology, and personal development. These weren't just pages, they were teachers. quiet mentors. Each book became a brick in the foundation of a new identity, a smarter identity, a wiser one. Here's something profound Mr. Shelf told me that changed my view forever. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. I took that to heart. I began to see the library not just as a place of silence, but as a vault of hidden treasure. I didn't need expensive mentors. I found them in ink and paper. I read Marcus Aurelius to learn about Stoic discipline. I read Carnegie to understand influence. I read Emerson to challenge my beliefs. The books didn't just teach me facts, they expanded who I was. And here's the key: don't read to impress others. Read to improve yourself. Build an inner world so rich that even if they took everything from you, your job, your house, your money, you'd still be wealthy in wisdom. There was a time I used to say, I just don't have time to read. But Mr. Shelf, with a gentle smile, corrected me, Jim, you got the same 24 hours as everyone else. The question isn't time, it's values. That was a punch to the gut, but a necessary one. What he meant was, time management is really value management. You always have time for what you truly value. The issue isn't whether you can spare 30 minutes. It's whether you believe those 30 minutes are worth more than the TV show or the endless scroll. Every hour is a trade. You're either investing in your future or spending on your distractions. If you say you want to succeed but your time says otherwise, then your real priority is comfort, not growth. Habit number 3, keep your promises, especially to yourself. Now this one, my friend, cuts deep. Because while many people are proud of keeping their word to others, they casually break their word to themselves, and they do it so often they don't even notice the damage. Every time you say, I'll wake up at 6 a.m., and then snooze the alarm until 7:30, you're not just losing time. You're weakening your identity. You're telling yourself, I can't be trusted. And once you lose trust in yourself, it's hard to move forward with confidence. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's about honoring your future self. Every promise you keep, no matter how small, builds inner strength. You become your own source of reliability, and that's rare. In a world of broken words and empty commitments, being someone who keeps their word, even privately, is magnetic. Integrity isn't just about how you treat others, it's how you treat your own potential. If you want to lead people, you must first lead yourself. That begins with the smallest commitments. You say you'll drink more water, do it. You say you'll journal every night, write one line. You say you'll run today, put on your shoes and get outside. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. When you follow through on the micro promises, they stack. Slowly, steadily, they turn into identity. And identity creates momentum. You begin to believe in yourself. That belief shows up in how you walk, how you speak, how you handle pressure. People feel it, even if they can't explain it. And eventually they start to trust you. Not because you're flashy or loud, but because you're grounded, consistent, solid. Here's a practical rule to live by. If you said it, do it, even if no one's watching. Especially if no one's watching. Because success isn't built on performance, it's built on character. When you say, I'm going to work out today, and you follow through, even if it's just 15 minutes of movement, you're sending a signal to yourself, I matter. My word matters. If you said you'd call that client or finish that proposal or spend quality time with your family, follow through. Small things are what build trust in the big one. And trust, my friend, is a currency, not just in business, but in life. People are drawn to those who are consistent. You want to attract opportunities? Be the kind of person who doesn't flinch when it's time to follow through. Be the person others know they can count on, because you've trained yourself to count on you. Habit number 4, learn to listen more than you speak. This might be the most underestimated habit of success and one of the hardest to master. You see, most people talk to impress. They speak to be seen, to be validated, to prove something. But the wise, they listen to understand. They aren't trying to dominate the room, they're trying to learn from it. I remember when I used to walk into every meeting like it was a stage. I wanted people to know I was smart, capable, and important. But the more I talked, the less I learned. One day, I decided to flip the script. I stopped talking so much and started listening with intention. I realized every person I met had lived a life I hadn't. Every person had experienced things, learned lessons, made mistakes, and if I just slowed down and paid attention, I could download decades of wisdom in minutes. Listening turned strangers into teachers and conversations into classrooms. Listening isn't just a passive act, it's a power move. It tells the other person you matter, your thoughts matter, your story matters. And that's a rare experience in today's noisy world. We live in an age of performance where people are constantly crafting their next sentence instead of truly absorbing the one being spoken to them. But when you listen, really listen, you stand out. You create space for connection, and connection is influence. In business, that's invaluable. In life, it's irreplaceable. I found that the less I tried to sound intelligent, the more intelligent I became because I was learning. And here's the twist. People who feel heard are more likely to hear you. Influence doesn't start with what you say. It starts with how well you listen. There's a reason we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Nature's design isn't random, it's a reminder. Use them in that ratio. Listen twice as much as you speak. When you do, something incredible happens. People begin to trust you. Not because you're the loudest voice in the room, but because you're the one who actually hears them. Trust opens doors that talent alone cannot. But to earn that trust, you must cultivate the habit of curiosity. Ask better questions, not surface level ones, but meaningful ones. And then resist the urge to jump in. Let the silence do the work. People will tell you everything you need to know if you're patient enough to wait for the gold hidden in their answers. Success is often just one good question and one quiet moment away. Habit number 5, take 100% responsibility. This one stings, but it's the hinge on which everything else swings, because nothing changes until you change. As long as your story includes blame for your parents, your past, your boss, the market, the economy, you remain powerless. And powerlessness is the opposite of success. The day everything shifted for me was the day I looked in the mirror and said, no more excuses, no more stories, it's my move. That's when you take your power back. That's when the game changes. The moment you take responsibility, not partial, not convenient, but full ownership, you stop reacting to life and start shaping it. You stop waiting and you begin building. I used to blame the weather, the government, my upbringing, even the way I was raised. I had a catalog of excuses ready for why things weren't working out. And then one day, Mr. Shelf looked at me with piercing eyes and said, Jim, if you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree. That hit me like a thunderclap. Trees are stuck. But you can move. You can learn, adapt, pivot, improve. Blame is a comfort blanket for the weak, but responsibility, that's armor for the strong. From that moment, I stopped waiting for the world to change and started becoming the change. Responsibility turned me from a victim of circumstances into the architect of my future. Now, don't confuse responsibility with guilt. They're not the same. Guilt says you're flawed. Responsibility says you're capable. If something's broken, fix it. If something's wrong, own it. If something's right, protect it and build on it. This habit makes you magnetic. Why? Because it's rare. Most people are addicted to blame. They'll point fingers at everything and everyone, except the person in the mirror. But when you take responsibility, you become trustworthy, dependable. You become the kind of person others want to follow, work with, and invest in. Because they know you won't run when it gets tough. You won't hide. You'll own it. And ownership is attractive, both in business and in life. Your results are your responsibility, even if your circumstances aren't. That's a subtle but powerful distinction. You can't always control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. Your results are the reflection of your responses. Don't fall in love with your limitations. Fall in love with progress. Trade excuses for action. Let go of the fantasy that someone will come save you. No one's coming. You are the answer. And when you live like that, something incredible happens. Mentors appear, partners emerge, opportunities begin to knock. Because the universe responds to those who take responsibility. Responsibility is the gateway to freedom. Habit number 6, guard your associations. This one's critical. Playing with is who you become. Not maybe, inevitably. Show me your circle, and I'll show you your future. That's not motivational fluff. It's observable, measurable, and deeply real. If you surround yourself with complainers, guess what? You'll find more to complain about. If you surround yourself with people who stretch, build, and rise, you'll start doing the same, almost unconsciously. Our environment is stronger than our willpower. You can't afford to ignore that. Success doesn't just come from within. It also comes from who's around you. When I met Mr. Schaff, I was broke. Not just financially, but mentally. My bank account was empty, but so was my belief system. I thought small. I spoke small. I acted small. But he didn't let me stay that way. He challenged me. He made me read, think, question, and rise. He gave me books. He gave me standards. And that one relationship altered the course of my entire life. You need people like that. People who don't flatter your mediocrity, but confront it. People who don't lower the bar to make you comfortable, but raise it to make you grow. Your next level won't come from your comfort zone. It'll come from your connections. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut everyone off and live in a bubble. What I'm saying is you need to be intentional with your energy. Limit the time you give to people who drain you. Limit your exposure to gossip, negativity, and small-mindedness. Instead, increase your proximity to greatness. Get around people who are living the way you want to live. People who dream bigger, work harder, and love deeper. Or people who are further down the road. Why? Because success leaves clues, but you've got to be close enough to see them. You can't pick up what you're not around. And yes, sometimes you will outgrow people. That's not arrogance, it's evolution. Some people were meant to be chapters, not the whole book. And that's okay. You can love them from a distance. You can cheer for them without standing next to them, but you must protect your momentum. Surround yourself with winners, dreamers, builders, and thinkers. People who talk about ideas, not just problems. People who challenge you to stretch, to risk, to believe. Because energy is contagious. And if you keep good company long enough, you won't just rise, you'll soar.